Hi, welcome to the first episode of the Trauma Translator Live. I'm Lauren Friedman, your host, also known as the Trauma Translator. This is our first soft launch of the year, and right now we're just streaming on LinkedIn, but in the future it will be available across all the platforms. So thank you so much for joining us today. The Trauma Translator is actually a heart-centered mission that I have now created since June of 23, based on my own story, but also the desire to help others find ways to find healing, help elevate, educate, and empower others, because truly nervous system regulation, neuroplasticity, and embodiment are the foundation of healing, wellness, longevity, prosperity, and health. And it's really crime prevention and health and disease prevention and illness management and all the things that are destroying our lives we can actually work on from the inside out. So today I actually have Jessie Lizak, who is the CEO and founder of Reveting, and I'd like to introduce her.
So excited to be here. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
I'm so excited. So tell everyone about yourself a little bit.
Okay, I would love to. So as she said, I am the founder and CEO of Reveting. I'm also the host of Wednesday, the longest standing LinkedIn Live, most consistent LinkedIn Live out there. And now I'm excited to help other businesses go live on LinkedIn, and we repurpose it to podcast, short form video, and excited to do that for Lauren because she has a very important message, something that really resonates with me. So I'm really excited to get into these topics with you, Lauren, and so excited that your show is going to be powered by Reveting. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. And I think what you're doing is so interesting because this is the audience that needs to hear about this. This is so important. This messaging is just so relevant because the thing is when I started this journey in June of 23, this has really been a lifelong journey. And thank you so much for seeing what actually has been happening and why this message is so important for everyone to hear. It was something that I had learned when I was going through my own healing journey. Know when it's time to leave and when it's time to lead. And when you think about trauma, I'm not thinking about it in the traditional sense of trauma. I want to redefine what trauma looks like, because if you don't have an understanding of what trauma is, how do you know how to solve for it? So that's one of the things I want to also talk about is when it's time to leave, right? When you're stuck in those same cycles of dysfunction. So nervous system regulation, empowerment, embodiment are all central theses of that. So let's dive into the first topic for today.
Let's do it. So it's healing through visibility and online storytelling.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So much to teach us there.
Yeah, well, I feel like there's a lot to learn from both of us. I think it's really interesting too. I'd love to hear a little bit about how you got into these LinkedIn Lives. LinkedIn Live is such an interesting place to be, especially right now, at the cross section of where, there's a lot of consumer fatigue around social platforms. Their algorithms are messing up. People aren't getting the same visibility, and everyone is losing their job. So everyone is trying to monetize their own brand in a really competitive space. So I'd love to hear a little bit about how you got into the LinkedIn Live platform and your business, and how you have been healing through visibility and online storytelling.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. So yeah, I mean, the way I got into LinkedIn Live was I was a full-time CMO at the time, and I was like, hey guys, I think we need a podcast. And I say guys because I was literally the only woman there. But it's okay. I worked in tech and data. And they were like,
my language.
What was that?
You're speaking my language.
Yes, exactly. You know this language. You know.
Yeah, like. I've been the only woman on a whole team.
Yep. So we've we have so much in common, Lauren.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was that marketing girl, and I was like, hey guys, I think we need a podcast. And this was, it was 2020 or so. And
yeah.
They're like, oh, that's going to be a lot of work and effort and a lot of money. We don't really have the marketing budget for it. And so I was really down about it for like several months. I'm like, man, we really just need a podcast. I need video. So I started just like going on Zoom and recording the CEO because, like, full disclosure, I didn't even really fully understand what the company was doing. I was like, wait, we have all this data, but what are we? So I needed to learn. So I did that by asking open-ended questions to the CEO on Zoom. and then cutting it and making all these little short form video clips. And they got a ton of activity. Not only that, I got content because I had the voice of the CEO, so I could go make his posts. So from there, I went off on my own time in the evenings, and that's where I started to dabble in Riverside at the time. And
Yeah.
and I was like, my homies are on LinkedIn. So if I'm going to show up and record, I'm going to go live on LinkedIn. So I did. And then I started doing that every Wednesday, would show up drinking whiskey at 9 p.m. on Wednesday, talking about sales and marketing. And, then my employer started their podcast as well. They started going live on LinkedIn. We turned it into a podcast, and it only did cost whatever the cost of StreamYard is, like $50 a month or something like that. Of course, my time as well. But so we got their show started, and 6 months later, my show was sponsored, and I'd convinced my employer to allow me to go fractional so I could focus on my podcast. And then I realized I could help other businesses do the same thing. So that's how Reveting was born. And now I get to help other businesses go live on LinkedIn.
I'm getting chills as you say this, because I truly, first of all, when you talk about not knowing what the company does, that's something that most people literally can't even, their ego blocks them from even saying that, right?
Right.
And I spent the last 20 years in advertising and technology also. So I do understand how there's all these complex things that you're like, what are we even doing with this? It wasn't until after that I left my last company dissolved my whole team that I really fully understood what the full enterprise business did in my business unit, because all these times, all in tech and data, it's all mystified, it's all abstract, it's smoke and mirrors. They say they do one thing. So I think it's really interesting that you used something that you were trying to really get better well-informed on yourself and really make it something that everyone can really enjoy, and then in a business that could help others. And it's funny because in 2020, that's when podcasts really, really shot up. But in 2008, I was at the New York Times and we were doing podcasts then. It was audio only. And in 2017, 2018, in 2019, I worked for a company that was actually doing podcast attribution. And it's a really it's a really complex ecosystem in that space. So when you talk about those early days of podcast and going live, I totally understand that. And I think it's really an important thing for people to have these resources. That's one of the reasons why I'm so compelled to do this, because I've lost my job 6 times after M&A and divestiture. And it's just added another component to my life of instability. And that's one of the reasons why I got so sick. I was the one who was responsible for insurance, for money, and my ex and his family abdicated responsibility completely. And now I have to actually dive into my 401k because no one ever took responsibility. And there's a lot of people in this world that have been losing their jobs over and over and over. And people are committing suicide because of it. I've lost 2 former coworkers to suicide. So that's one of my missions here, is to help people find those resources like you. If I had found you in June of 23, if I had seen your podcast in 2020, I would have been your biggest fan. I would have been on those Wednesdays drinking with you, except I don't drink anymore. I only dabble in plant medicine. But I do support it, and I'll drink some coffee or some water with you. But I do really believe in the value that you're bringing, and everybody needs these resources, and it's hard to find a centralized location. So that's one of the things I'm doing, is everyone that's going to be a guest on this will also have the opportunity to do in-person workshops that I'm going to be rolling out, and have an opportunity to have further exposure across my platform and owned and operated properties, because everybody needs these resources. And it's a really competitive ecosystem, especially for people who are trying to build their lives from the ground up. So I think it's really a beautiful mission that you have.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I'm with you. I don't drink anymore, but I do dabble in plant medicine as well.
I love that for us.
Someone on YouTube says the ganja.
Exactly.
Yes. Which, speaking of, we've got people in the comments, so I would love to hear who all here is in the comments. If you're here watching, let us know. We want to hear from you. This is Lauren's first episode.
Yeah. I can't see the comments, so
we've got David here in Indianapolis tuning in, and then
hey, David.
Our friend something powerhouse that was sharing the ganja.
I love it. Listen, it's I've never taken a Xanax in my life, and I realized that one of the reasons I've never taken it, one, I used to think I had an addictive personality, but it's actually attributes that you could take on from people that you live with who do have those. So it's one of those things that stopped me. It helped me, right? But also, I don't have an addictive personality. That's also a trauma response. So it's unlearning those deep-seated behaviors. But one of the reasons I never took a Xanax is because no one ever prescribed it to me. My parents were old hippies. I only went to chiropractors and alternative medicine doctors, so and acupuncturists. And I then was like, oh, that makes sense. Why did no one ever think I had anxiety? Because I never spoke about it. So we're going to talk about the things that no one else really talks about, and we're going to do it in a way that is palatable across all varying levels of audiences and understanding. Because my essential mission here is to help other people find ways through, and the only way out is through. And when I spent the last 20 years in advertising and technology, I was able to use my 100-pound plus weight loss multiple times since 2013 to explain data, fidelity, and quality across varying levels of audiences and understanding. So that's now what I'm doing with trauma. So I'm working with underserved communities and different types of folks across all areas, such as veterans, divorced men, children, and families, and so many more, because everybody needs to heal from something, and not everyone has the resources or even the awareness to know how to find healing.
That's so true. It like honestly, if you would have said healing to me like that, like trauma healing to me like that, like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I'd be like, what are you talking about? I don't have trauma.
Yeah,
I didn't know about my nervous system and all that stuff.
exactly. Well, that's
Yeah.
the other thing. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this, is because both of my parents were therapists. And I was in therapy since I was 5 after my dad's first suicide attempt. But I'd been having somatic responses to trauma, which nobody understood, since I was under 2. And I have a photographic memory from also that same time period onward. And most people with this quote unquote level of trauma lose their memory. So I really do believe this is my soul's purpose, to help people really identify those barriers that are disrupting their lives in ways that they don't really even understand, and really be able to break those cycles. I would love to hear, and I don't know if this is the right forum for this, but I would love to hear how you stopped drinking, because I agree with you. That is, when I thought that, like, I was like, I've been in therapy forever. What's going to help me now? If someone had told me, hey, trauma therapy will help you. You won't have to do 14 hours a week of CrossFit and starve yourself and take 60 laxatives a night and, do all of these things. I also would have punched them in the face if they told me that, like people did. And now I realize that this was really the path. This is as close to a panacea as humans can possibly get. Yeah. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about how you ended up on your sobriety journey.
I would love to share that. Yeah, thank you. I started my business, I left my job, and then I had a gallbladder attack. And they told me I needed surgery. They wanted to do emergency surgery right there in the hospital. And I've already had my spleen removed and I've had a cesarean. So it wasn't going to be an easy procedure. It would likely have taken me out many weeks. And that was just not an option, because I'd literally just left my job and started a business.
And you have children.
And I have kids. Yes. And my husband travels. So I'm a solo parent.
Yeah. Those are very real constraints.
Yeah, absolutely.
In addition to not wanting to get an unnecessary surgery.
Exactly. So then I was like, no, I'm fine. I want to go talk to my personal doctor first. I somehow got out of the hospital because, they kind of don't want to let you leave if they feel like you need a surgery. So that was complicated.
I'm sure it was. Yeah.
And then immediately, I learned from my boss at the time, David Finkelstein with BDEX. Well, he's my fractional CMO client, but he said, get a food sensitivity test. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I got a piece of my hair pulled and they tested it. And it was like, okay, well, you're highly sensitive to milk. You're highly sensitive to pork. Those are like the 2 big ones.
Right. Yeah.
You're highly sensitive to eggs. And so then at that point, I not only quit alcohol, I became completely vegan because I needed to focus on my business. I quit caffeinated coffee. I was like a huge coffee person. I went decaf only. I'm still only decaf. And that's how it happened. I mean, it was just pressure from wanting to like fulfill my dreams, wanting to like keep my business running, and not wanting to have surgery. So I just cut it all off. And I will occasionally drink from time to time, not completely sober anymore. I was for about 2 years, but Yeah, I don't know. It's been a really great journey. I would never go back.
I mean, I think that's the reason what really resonated with me about that. And thank you so much for sharing. And I know we had a conversation offline about parts of that, like previously. And I was like, yes. But what really resonated with me though, is that your body was telling you exactly what to do and you listened to it. And you knew you didn't need that surgery. And you knew that there were changes that you could make. And that's one of the things that's been part of my journey too. Like I'm also not in AA. If you're in AA, you can't, and I don't have anything against it. I think people should be in AA. They should completely be sober. Like anyone would laugh me out of an AA room, right? For saying, oh, I'm like California sober or plant medicine sober. But the thing is that you know what's good for your body. I also can drink, but my body, if I tried to drink right now, my body would reject it. Like I got sick of drinking well before this. So I also, like you, kind of had to evolve into this. Also, I had to stop caffeine as much. Like I was spending $900 a month between my ex-husband and I on coffee. And that was before prices got this expensive, and that wasn't at Starbucks. So people don't understand that your body doesn't distinguish between physical stress and mental stress. And so it doesn't know the difference between you working out, trying to do something good for your body, and you self-sabotaging and saying really mean things to yourself in your head, or drinking 17 cups of coffee because you're exhausted. And it becomes this loop of a feedback loop of dysfunction for people. So that's one of my biggest things too. I also now drink a ton of decaf. I also still drink caffeine because that's my actual addiction. How do you don't drink any coffee at all? Like any caffeinated?
Decaf. I'm decaf espresso all day.
I love it. You're on mute. That's funny. I'm all about the cups too. This one says, stay close to people that feel like sunshine. And that's also part of my merch with a perp. That's merch with a purpose.
Oh my gosh. Can you tell us more about merch with a purpose?
Yeah. Thank you for asking. That's what my hat and the hats behind me are, and my water bottles. And I actually lost the water bottle that people used to stop me in the street to talk about. But merch with a perp is something that I've always known that was going to be part of this enterprise business, but it's healing-centered anxiety relief tools with a portion of the proceeds funding the pediatric complex trauma nonprofit that I'm going to be starting and scaling, called the Why Go Foundation. And it's named from it's inspired by a Pearl Jam song, Why Go? Maybe someday another child won't feel as alone. So that's the central mission here behind everything, is to help people feel less alone in their struggles through connection to self, connection to others, and connection to a higher power. And the only way you could do that is through understanding trauma at a somatic level. And it starts with your body speaking to you, just like yours did.
Totally. Yeah, you're right. Have you heard of the book, The Body Keeps the Score?
Yeah, that was 100%. I've actually met Dr. Bessel.
You did?
Yeah, I met him last year because I have some certifications in trauma. I wasn't trying to just go into this blindly. I'm not a therapist. I'm not trying to be. But I do want to educate, and that's what I'm doing as a trauma translator and speaking engagements offline as well. So that's one of the things I'm also offering, because everybody needs to learn about this. And you just said it perfectly. Like, doctors, the medical community isn't well informed with this because they're not taught this in medical school. So it wasn't until I was having flashbacks and wetting the bed and having extreme brain fog while I was interviewing at Amazon and Google and Oracle, and I literally still secured a job, and I did all of this high functioning work, and I didn't know how to stop. And your body was telling you needed to stop. My body was telling me I needed to stop, but nobody teaches you how. And when you're in business, I've had so many developmental courses, so many things offered at all of these enterprise companies, and even really small companies that don't even have HR departments, but they have HR consultants, and they give you all of these personality tests. And I worked one of the jobs that was most dysfunctional to me. My boss was kind of a D word. And he was an a-hole, and he knew he was. And they didn't have an HR department, but they had this HR consultant, and she would do all these personality tests. And I was like, there's no personality test I already know he's an asshole. But guess what? If you regulate your nervous system, you don't have to be. You could show up better and more clean, and in a way that actually promotes growth and structure. Because we have to remember what we're here to do. When we're working with each other in a business environment, we're not here to be best friends. We're not here to see who's right or who's more powerful. We're here to do something. We're here to sell things. And that's why one of the reasons I'm doing these workshops as a trauma translator offline is to really hone in on those skills that people need in order to be more successful in their interpersonal relationships, whether that's in business or in personal life, because how you do anything is how you do everything. And all of these slogans can be found on the whygoproject.com merch with a perp shop.
I love that. So if they wanted to go to the merch with a perp shop, where do they go?
whygoproject.com. And we'll include all of this afterwards when we post, and you can also find it on whygoproject.com.
WHY. Okay, yeah. I love that. Should we move into the next topic?
Yeah, let's do it.
The human side of innovation and leadership. Lauren, this is such a good topic. And with everything you've gone through in tech and like advertising, I feel like you have a lot to teach me here.
Well, I'd love to hear your background and just how you've been applying it in your current position and your business, because I do think it's really interesting too that you were able to have your corporate job and then move to a fractional role. There's not a lot of companies that would let you do that. So I'd love to hear how you were able to parlay that into what you're doing now and how you're helping entrepreneurs find their human side through innovation and leadership.
Oh, thank you. Well, I couldn't do it if the CEO and founder of BDEX wasn't this just like totally open-minded guy. Like David Finkelstein is like the most data-oriented person I know. And he understands marketing because they send data basically to like TV advertisers. They do it at mass scale. So he sees things over and over again. And so we've just built a really great relationship based on results. So by giving results, he trusts me, and I was able to build that trust. And I was also always very open with him, maybe to a fault. Like literally, I was that CMO who went to my CEO and ended up crying, and I didn't mean to. But like, he didn't hold that against me. He actually saw it as a warning sign. He saw it as a warning sign that something, like I was feeling something that I couldn't communicate, which was true. Yeah. I was sensing that things were happening that I couldn't control, that no one else could control, and blame was being pointed in the wrong place. And I didn't know how to communicate it. So I couldn't have done it if I didn't have a boss who was just like super open-minded. So that first and foremost, you have to have a good CEO if you're going to do something like this. But I guess the other way I've done it is just by like, I think you have to remove the ego as a leader, because as a leader, it's so easy to get an ego, like, oh, I'm in charge. Everyone listen to me, my way or the highway, which sometimes you have to do. Like you have to put down your foot. But when you can lift others and celebrate others, it actually makes yourself feel better. It actually does build your ego a little, because then you're like, actually, they were able to do that. Like they know how to do those things because I taught them. And now they're doing a better job than me, actually. And I just got chills saying that because I love when that happens.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, the human side of innovation and leadership is just like leaning into your team, like being a good leader, like David Finkelstein. Be data oriented. Don't just come down on people because of their personality. Don't just come down on people because they're emotional. Look for the results. If it's getting results, then celebrate it and encourage it.
That's interesting. I like that too. Like, I mean, for me, like one of the things through my own healing journey, I actually feel like I've lost my ego. I don't feel any ego at all anymore, because I've been really humbled by, I have $7,000 left in my high yield savings account, like right now. So this is a reality that I'm living in currently. And when you think about, you expressing emotion in business, like that's really like looked down upon, especially as a woman. So the fact that you were in a receptive environment and that you were able to be felt and heard is really important. And you were also able to release. That's the thing, is that I didn't even know how to cry until 2022. So I think that's really a beautiful story. And you're also empowering others and helping them save themselves, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to save ourselves. And for me, like, leadership is leading by example, is leading with integrity. If you say you have integrity, then make your actions match your words. And also, you could lead with data, but also there's a human side behind it. And like, I've been put in positions where I'm doing my hardest to sell something, but internally they are trying to shut down this business unit and they're closing it down. They turn down deals and they make it so you can't sell anything. And then what do you do when you lose your job and then you didn't make the money you were supposed to make? And then they're like, oh, we're data driven. So I think that these are really important things to think about when you think about the human side of business, because these are things that are compounded. And they're not, when I started to look at life through the lens of trauma, I realized that type of dynamic wasn't just isolated in my career, but that's been prevalent throughout my entire life, whether it was in my family life, my parents working against me, no one helping me, in my marriage, my in-laws, literally my ex-in-laws literally stealing from me in the family business while I lost my whole family, while my dad killed himself, and they knew it. And I lost my job 6 times. And I was like, who steals from somebody whose dad killed himself? I just want to know. That's a real question. And when you think about that, you need to think about it holistically. So that's one of the things I really want to bring here too, is for people to understand that these things don't happen in an isolated fashion. You know, if you think you're stuck in these same cycles of dysfunction, there's probably a deeper reason why you've been there. And once you could see that, you could extract yourself from it. And it's not easy, and it doesn't happen overnight, but it happens consistently with pattern relearning, reparenting yourself, and neuroplasticity, which is what actually has enabled me to break free from these cycles. Neuroplasticity is the ability to build new neural pathways and create new habits and be able to break those addictive cycles. And one of the things when I stopped drinking, I realized my issue was sex and love. And I am going to be doing an After Dark on a different platform about sex and love addiction, but that translated to every part of my life, including my career. So I was addicted to my job. I thought it gave me power. I thought it gave me stability. I thought it gave me safety. It's the same reason why I stayed in my marriage. I thought that was perceived safety. And none of those things were safe. And my body was trying to tell me the whole time, but I didn't know it. I just kept, nobody cares, work harder, right? So that was what was in my head. And that's not what I'm doing anymore. I'm working responsibly to make sure that my body and I are aligned, because we're one. We're not separate anymore. And that's another thing that I really hope that this professional community and people really understand when we talk about these things, is that you can't just go full throttle 1,000% all the time, because your body will respond. You do need to take breaks, and there's ways to manage your capacity so that you're not breaking down all the time. Like, I haven't had a migraine, which was debilitating to me when I learned how to feel pain for the first time in 2022. I haven't had a migraine since before I got divorced, and I had major triggers, and I haven't had one migraine. And it's really interesting to see when you remove all the toxic cycles from your life, that when you step back into those environments that are no longer good for you, your body will tell you, but only if you know how to listen. You have to have the awareness and connection to self.
That's really powerful. Yeah. And sometimes, and I'm guilty too, whether it's a job or a relationship, you get stuck in these patterns and you don't even realize it.
No.
I mean, I was a co-CEO at a Series C SaaS company. This was, I don't know. Actually, this was 2020. This was 2020. And I left that job in shingles because I got so stressed out. We had like at-home kindergarten. So I was doing at-home kindergarten for the pandemic. I had a little one that was like 2. And then
a 5-year-old is a little one.
Yeah, he's a little one now, but like, he's 7 still. So he was little then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You still have all the little ones. Yeah.
Random things in his mouth and stuff, like you got to watch him. It was too much. And I thought I could do it all. And I was in a pattern where I was doing it all. And then my body literally said, no, you are 35, but you're going to have shingles like a 70-year-old. And it just was the worst thing ever. I ended up leaving the job. I ended up finding another job. But yeah, we get into these patterns and then it's hard to get out. And you don't even realize it until your body tells you sometimes.
But it's beautiful that you were able to make those moves, because there's another thing, and that's the reason that you don't realize how damaging this all is because trauma is pervasive, right? So you get stuck in these cycles that feel familiar to you because you think they're safe, but trauma makes safe situations look unsafe and vice versa. So when you really start to understand how to listen to your body, you shouldn't have been getting shingles at 35 years old. I also shouldn't have had my hair fell out at 35. No. At 35. Yeah. Like, I literally was having hair loss for years. They thought I had a tumor in my adrenal glands. So the Western medicine doesn't know how to diagnose this, and humans have never been taught properly because people are really only still understanding it now. Real trauma, like outside the scope of the battlefield, trauma-informed living really hasn't happened until recently. People only started to understand what trauma was in 1980, and I was born in 1983, and that was only as it relates to the battlefield. So the rest of this entire world and the general community has no idea about this. Doctors, therapists. My parents were therapists. They had no idea. My dad had some understanding of it, like he knew that there's protection, but if you don't understand it, then you're getting misdiagnoses. And that's one of the things the Trauma Translator platform is really aimed to do, is to help people find those ways to learn how to human. Because how do you learn how to human? How do you know? I mean, that was a very extreme example, having a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, a business, all of these things at once, and your body literally said no. But I lost and gained over 100 pounds multiple times. And I literally, I didn't know how to listen to my body. And there was not one doctor that did not say, just lose more weight. And I'm like, I don't know what more I could do. And it took me until I literally almost died. So that's one of the things I want to make sure to elevate other people's stories, because there's something that resonates with everyone. And people need to hear your story. Like, I'm sure you're not the first or last woman that's going to have to manage and juggle all these things and then is going to get sick. I just saw something, Gabor Mate actually was talking about how women who have somatic responses to trauma are, like, I forgot what the percentage was, are more likely to have ovarian cancer later on. And my maternal grandmother, died of a uterine cancer that could have been prevented. And there are just things that we don't fully understand. That's why trauma translator and nervous system regulation and embodiment and neuroplasticity all matter, because all the ways that humans are suffering, whether overtly or in ways that they don't understand, are the things that stem from unprocessed trauma living in your body. The OCDs, the ADDs, the cancers, the autoimmunes, even the headaches. Who knew? Everyone just said it was stress, and everyone looks at it as nurture versus nature, but it's really epigenetic and environmental. And it lives in your genes, and it becomes more pronounced through environmental factors. So that's why everyone's like, oh yeah, it's genetic, and they use it as an excuse, but it's not. It doesn't have to be. And you could reverse illness. That's the coolest part. That's why I'm so excited about this, because I literally couldn't even get out of bed and I was still functioning. And my ex-husband never tried to find a job once. And I lost my job 6 times. Even to this day, he's never had a new job in 20 years. So I think people really need to understand this so they can get out quicker. Know when it's time to leave and when it's time to lead, right? And you knew that.
It's time to leave and when it's time to lead. I love that.
That was something that came through to me at my trauma retreat in 2022, actually.
That's so good.
I felt it was like a sign from the universe. So that was something that I took with me as part of this, because I truly believe that, like, you knew when it was time to leave, and you did, and you started to lead on your own.
I had to.
Yeah, your body made you.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's go into our last topic of the day.
Let's do it.
Tell us a little bit about the WAVE mission and community.
Oh yeah. I mean, for me, all of this, like all this stuff that like happens in life, it's made easier by strong community. And so that's what the Women Wave community sort of is. So I've got a couple. I'm a big WhatsApp community person. So there's about, I don't know, maybe almost 200 women in a WhatsApp group, and we're all like sales and marketers, people I've met on LinkedIn. And now other people invite other people. So I don't know if we're all on LinkedIn, but the main thing there is like we're all posting on LinkedIn. We're all trying to grow on LinkedIn. But you know, they talk about writing books in there, and there's a whole bunch of other discussions. We share like software advice. But like during the pandemic and during like the loneliness of leadership, because leadership can be very lonely. That was my community. That was like my safe spot. It actually formed because there was another community of all men. It was like all men, techie sales guys who were talking about cold email. And some of us women were like, we can't really get a word in here. And like, and some felt like scared. So I was like, let's just start our own group. So we started our own group. And it's been super helpful for me, especially as a solo parent, to have like this constant chatter of women happening all the time, of like, let me just get in there and see what's going on. And it's uplifting. But like, that's what the Women Wave community is. It's just a group of women who are connected with each other, who share with each other. But I think digital communities are important, but it is also really important to have in-person community. But yeah, to me, community is key in trauma. You shouldn't have to go at it alone. You should have a village. You'd have to build a village. I had to build my own community. So I did. I built a Women Wave community. And looking back on it, it's probably because I was a little bit lonely. I was like a solo parent and no one in the house, and I'm with my kids. So I'm online. Like that's where I get my interaction with people. And
Yeah.
so community for me, it was kind of a lifesaver. So yeah, I'm curious what you think about community, Lauren.
No, that's really beautiful. I think that that's also really important. And it's funny because I do everything, like my whole mission here is maybe someday another human won't feel as alone, not just children. And it's a wave. It's always been a wave. Like even though I've gone through all my different iterations of brand names and different logos, actually my necklace says I'll ride the wave where it takes me. And I truly believe in that. Like it's about flowing, and it's about going from dysregulation to a regulated state and knowing how to do that, but also finding that community. Because one of the stickers, oh, it's not on this one. I have all different, because I'm still recovering from, OCD and ADD and having things that are inside and outside water bottles. But this one, it's true. This one says connection changes everything. And then the other one says, I let thoughts pass like waves. And these are things that have kept me, you, like the community has kept you in your power. And these have kept me in my power, because I do believe in the power of community, but I also know that from learned experience that people are only able to show up for you as much as they could show up for themselves. And I haven't found one person that I could rely on consistently in my entire existence. So I've had to find ways to and rely on myself. And it's been through these things, right? That I used to surround myself with things that I thought would protect me. I tried to protect myself through my body, which I didn't even know I was doing, right? It's so pervasive. So I think it's really important when you have that community and you have that connection. And it really does change everything. Like when I went to my trauma retreat in August of 22, I met people that were like me for the first time in my life. And the things I was told that were wrong with me, not just by society, not just by my jobs, but by my mom at a young age, that was actually, I was told like conflicting views, that I was a genius. I was asking thought-provoking questions from under 2, but I was always verbal. That's why no one caught this. This is why women are really, really misdiagnosed too. Neurodivergence is really just it's a trauma response. Everything's a trauma response. Yeah. And I met people that were like me, and it helped kind of lift the burden off of my shoulders. I was like, wait, that person has that exact same response from a major trauma at 5 years old as well. And I was like, wait, I'm not alone. So I agree with you. That's actually the mission behind all this, is to create that community, create those containers so that everyone has ability to feel seen, feel supported. And I am doing it also for myself, because I have to build this on my own. I do feel really isolated, not just as an entrepreneur, but as a person in society. I spent Thanksgiving by myself because there's no places that I feel safe where people have extended invitations that were safe for me. So, and I don't have the money to travel right now. So these are realities. I'm grateful for even the building I live in, like just having someone to talk to each day, because when you lose your job and you're in the middle of a divorce and you lose your whole family, what do you do to stay sane? So my story is very, I always say, like, I don't like to compare traumas. I really don't, because I probably will win most of the time. And I don't want to. My story is very extreme, but there's something that everyone can relate to. And I think it's really important that people like you and anyone else that are doing these LinkedIn Lives or have a public persona that are trying to build community and help people really share their stories more. And that's one of the reasons I want to continue to do this, so that everyone can share what their version of this looks like. And then we could literally see how everyone's different bodies are functioning and help you understand it more, so you could live a more flowing lifestyle. Wait, I think you're on mute.
You're on mute. It's my mug for a reason.
Wait, we should make it as part of merch we should make it. We'll do something. We'll talk about it after.
Totally. Absolutely. Because I mean, I get told I'm on mute so often, it's almost becoming like a trauma response.
I'm sure.
Not to like kid about that. I shouldn't say that, but
it actually can be. That's the thing. That's the thing. Triggers are just stimuli. And when your body gets used to something happening over and over, like my credit card started getting declined for the first time in my entire life last December. And I had an 850 FICO score. I've been financially independent since I was 19. And it was because my ex-in-laws can't live within their means. And my ex-husband didn't abdicated responsibility, and I'm the only person trying to save us, and I was being lied to and manipulated for all these years. And when you like think about triggers, right, it's stimuli. So if you keep getting put on mute and you have like a stress response about it, it's not shameful. It's literally your body responding to it. And that's the thing about, you also can be aware of things and also let it pass by and not have to give them meaning. That's one of the things I've learned too. So I see that release of a breath, and that to me is a signal of release, and you're in a parasympathetic state.
Yes, absolutely. I'm all about breath work these days.
Yeah.
And just going on YouTube and searching whatever you're feeling and find breath work for it, and literally just sit there and breathe.
Yeah,
And
that's what this necklace is. It's actually Camuso is one of my affiliate partners. They were at my the trauma retreat that I went to in August of 22, and this actually helps you breathe. It helps you exhale longer, and it also just reminds me to breathe. You can actually find it on my website as well as it says collabs.
Wait, can you hold it up to the camera? I want to see it.
Yeah, and
that's so cool.
I'll send you a link after. It is really cool. And like, that's one of the things I learned too. I didn't know I wasn't breathing. I was paying all these people to tell me to breathe. I had a trainer. I was doing CrossFit classes. No one ever taught me how to breathe. And that's also a sign of nervous system dysregulation, is not taking a breath, speaking too quickly, because you are always in a state of constant fear of things just happening around you. So it's really about like rooting into yourself, taking that pause and reconnecting. And I know you do a lot of sound healing, and I really look forward to, and I've always planned on having this as part of the business, having my community of people like you and resources, having offline events. So I'm really excited to eventually have you conduct a sound healing class for us in an offline event.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I can't wait for that, because it's absolutely going to happen. We're going to put it in the universe.
I mean, it's very easy for us to do this. So it's definitely going to happen. We don't have to even put it in the universe. It's happening.
I mean, I feel like you and I are pretty much like creators. We just make things happen. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do it in both of our cities. I'll go back. I'm not worried about it. It'll be New York. It'll be where you are. It'll be good.
Oh, I need a reason to come to New York. Let's do it in New York.
Done. Sold.
Let's go.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on today and for actually saving me. You gave me something really, you and David gave me something really incredible to look forward to. I'm so grateful to have been on with Matt Fogarty a few weeks ago. I believe it was on the 18th of November. And I was able to meet you and really share this platform more fully. And I hope other people take advantage of the Reveting service, because I truly am so grateful to have your support and really finally feel like I have real support in this ecosystem.
Thank you so much. And I'm so excited that you're doing a podcast, because we do need this message out there. And fortunately, since you like to talk, this is the perfect role for you. So this is like, yeah, divine alignment. I was told, this is why I'm doing it. I've been told my whole life, I just need to go somewhere and speak. So I'm like, okay, cool. That's what I'm doing. If that's what you want from me. Yeah. But also, the universe did not want me to continue to do my job. My body literally rejected it. So how else am I going to live? Yeah. So thank you so much. I can't wait to continue this further. And next week, we're going to be regularly scheduled for 1 p.m. Eastern, 1:15 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. And we will be having a guest that we're going to be promoting soon, and she's amazing. So stay tuned for that. I'm so excited to have you on again. And I look forward to all the incredible things that we do to help others while helping save ourselves. Thank you so much, Lauren. Bye-bye. Bye.